Okay. So more on the personal side. My story behind Foreman Riviera is more of a story of a love story with movement. It's this desire to overcome depression that never left, anxiety, body dysmorphia. So when I was 16 years old, I had these huge dreams of being a dancer. My biggest love, the love of my life, was dance. And I had a really bad injury. I had during rehearsal, I had a hamstring tear, which it's just incredible because it completely changed my life. I went from dancing and moving every single day, being a very active kid, to being terrified of my body, of not really knowing if I was safe with myself. So what happened was I tore my whole left hamstring. It almost fully separated from the bone, which is not a nice image. And I didn't really get the type of medical intervention that I needed in the moment. Not to say, I grew up in Peru, but not to say that there are bad doctors. There is a bird singing right at my ear. Sorry. There's really amazing sports doctors and physicians and physiotherapists, but in the moment, I wasn't advised properly, so I didn't get the type of medical treatment that I needed, and the physiotherapist, that the main sports physiotherapist in Lima, was fully booked out with, the country's professional athletes. So, it was a difficult time, like not being able to dance. I couldn't really walk for 3 months. It was really painful to sit down. Going to school was hard as well, mostly because some of my teachers didn't fully understand what had happened, and it just took many years to realize that it had actually had a huge toll on my mental health. And I'm Latin American, so in Peru, it's really important for women to look good. I mean, not just in Peru, everywhere in the world. Like, we all have all of these beauty standards, but as a young girl, as a young, Peruvian girl, all of my self-esteem came from how I looked. Like, it's the main thing that people tell you. Over the years, I developed anxieties about not exercising, or putting on too much weight, or being too bloated, or retaining water, which, no one around me noticed except for me. It was definitely something that bothered me. But there is one thing that I will always be grateful for when it comes to this Pilates practice. And that is that it really, really helped me overcome this depression around the way that I felt, the way that I looked, and this distorted view I had of my body. The reason is because I have always been very thin. My bone structure is small. I've always been very petite. But I hadn't learned how to properly, I hadn't learned how to grow my muscles or how to engage with my core, how to work out my body in a way that made me feel good. And I remember during my Pilates training, when I first started developing my core thanks to the Pilates system, specifically to the Cadillac, shout out to the Cadillac, my body completely changed. I suddenly had a strong use of my abdominals and my legs, and my body was no longer shapeless, or at least I didn't see it as shapeless. I've been boxing for a year, for over a year now, and I suddenly had a better use of my body, more control of my body, more strength. And I wasn't really exerting that much energy either. So to me, it really is a drastic change after Pilates. Also, one thing that was super important for me after this horrible injury, I lost all of my flexibility. I used to be able to do these beautiful dance movements. I had this insane level of flexibility that no one else had. And not many people talk about this, but when you lose range of motion, when you lose mobility, when suddenly you can't do with your body what you did before, it's really painful. It's a really challenging mental experience, and it really shapes you, you know, like I guess the injury made me a bit more socially shy, a bit more afraid. I developed fears around my body, which no one wants. I never wanted to be afraid of myself. When I was able to touch my feet with my legs extended out and do side bends without feeling any pain, and knowing and feeling that my leg was not going to break, it changed. It's fully changed the way I exist in the world, and this just happened this year. I'm so grateful for this year. I'm so grateful for the classical Pilates system, for the Cotronis, for really changing the way I related to my body, because this is not something that happened a few years ago. This is something that happened now in 2023, and I fully vouch for it, especially after so many years of looking at my body in a very distorted way. Yeah, it's for anyone that cares, for all of us that care about our appearance, for all of us that care about our health. I couldn't speak more highly about this practice that has completely reconnected me to my needs, to my physical needs, because before I was completely disconnected from them. It was really hard to know what it is that I needed. It was really hard to identify when it is that I was experiencing anxiety. And it was also challenging mentally and emotionally. So yes, I hope this helps in one way or another. I think the most beautiful aspect of everything that I have learned through this practice is the intimacy that I can build with myself. It is these moments, these few minutes, seconds, that actually create and that actually build my relationship with myself. And I think that is one of the most beautiful, most necessary things right now. Because Pilates is not just about looking good externally. It's really about building a relationship with yourself. And that is what I have done over the last few months. In between stumbling through everything, changing a life path from being a journalist to now working with my body, which is something that I always wanted to do. And also knowing that my leg is safe, my mind is stronger, my habits are a lot better. Yeah, and that I can share this wisdom with you with an open heart and with a desire to only build good things. Yeah.